Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, anybody who identifies as anything other than that, welcome to episode 5 of the On Devin podcast. Hashtag BodPod, hashtag the Bodfather. I am joined by a polarized individual, okay? A former Division I college football tight end, a challenge extraordinaire, okay? 2 for 2 in finals in seasons that he has not been DQ'd. I'm talking about the one, the only, Faysal Shafaat. Fessy, thanks for joining me, man. How are we feeling?
Hey, I feel good. Thanks for having me. Feels good to have some compliments come out your mouth my way, you know? I didn't know that was possible.
Well, you know, we're starting to turn over a new leaf here, and we are heading into the premiere of the challenge Ride or Dies. And as someone who's played the game against you and has kind of played the game with you, I will say I would rather have you on my side. And I think Kyle's fingers can speak to that as well. So, you know, whatever I've got to do to make that path a little easier on myself, I'm going to do that. So compliments to you, but they're all true. So speaking of that, how are you feeling heading into your 4th season of the challenge? It's been 4 in a row. Mm-hmm. It's a rare situation that happens. We know how difficult the casting process is. So what's it like for you to get that call again and to be preparing for your 4th season?
Yeah, I mean, it truly does feel like a blessing because a lot of people, you know, they say, oh, people do anything for a callback, this, that. But it's like, bro, these shows changed my life and gave me an opportunity to prove myself athletically, to open up some doors outside of it. So, of course, I would love to go back on the show and compete. So I was thankful after, you know, they gave me the boot for putting my hand in Josh's face. Like, I was thankful they called me back a season, the next season after that. They didn't make me wait out a season. So, you know, I felt like that was, you know, they looked out for me there. So I was thankful for that. But I came into this season I felt like I proved enough. Obviously, I haven't won one yet, but, like, it wasn't like, yeah, I talk shit and whatever, but, like, okay, I backed it up somewhat. People say, oh, he didn't eat or he quit on Casey. Oh, bro, that's, like, the only thing people got on me, and that's kind of controversial how you look at it, too. So I'm like, I don't got to shove it down people's throats no more. I'm going to enjoy my downtime, and I think me and you got to know each other a little better. Like, we're 2 different people. Like, you said that before in a podcast. It is true. Like, we are not the same, but, you know, I think we're both numbers guys, and we knew how the game works, and, like, me and you never really took anything personal, and that's one thing I respected about you. Like, yeah, in the double agents, we got in a little thing, whatever, but, like, we spent hundreds of days in a house together at this point. Like, I know you as far as a living situation more than some of my best friends, you know what I mean? Like, so, yeah.
Correct. And it's one thing people don't recognize as well as, like, tell me somebody that you compete against all the time that you don't have arguments with. Whether they're your friend, they're not your friend, if you're in a dogfight against somebody for that amount of time and you respect them and they're good, you're gonna clash, you're gonna bump heads. That's just the nature of the beast. It's like these relationships where it's all positive all the time, they don't transition well into the challenge because it means somebody's not saying what's on their mind. So it actually has been cool, and I think the fans are going to really, really enjoy this season. This is my first season since a 3-season break, and your first season ever, where we've got a structured partner theme in the show. We've been spies for the last 2 seasons. Thank God that's gone, because as I've been quoted saying many times, I'm not a field agent. So I'm excited to have, like, a true old school challenge theme back. It's your first time doing that. How was kind of preparing for that, because it's going to be different obviously than anything you've done so far. What's it like to go into a game knowing that you're going to have your ride or die by your side?
Well, there was already a huge roller coaster before the season because, you know, the casting process, originally they were reaching out, talking about potentially a ride or die season, and, you know, family members / friends. And the only family member I have, you know, that's an opposite sex member is my sister, and she's about to get her doctorate in December. And I wasn't really trying to bring my sister into this equation, you know. So I've known Moriah for a couple years, you know. After I got single, Obviously I slid in her DMs. You've seen what she posts on Instagram. She got a crazy body, so of course slid in those DMs. We hung out a couple times. And you've met Moriah. She's a sweet girl. She means well, and she has a great attitude, and she's athletic. And I just thought of her, and I was like, I think she would be good for the show. Like, all around. So it felt good, but the roller coaster was I was supposed to potentially be an alternate, and it wasn't until last minute where I got the confirmation. So like I was going through like Moriah was kind of getting excited because it was going to be her first show, and I'm kind of like, well, we're probably not even going to go on. Like, that was my mindset. So then it all happened, and she was super excited, and I was excited too. But like, this is my 4th season. I had just got kicked off, so it was kind of like she was super excited, and I was trying to be chill. But it felt good having somebody that I was like confident in, and I hand selected. Same way with you and Tori. Like, I mean, you guys had your differences, but that's a stacked team. I said it, like, since day one. Like, as far as overall teams go, I thought it was you and Tori and Jay and Michelle were probably, as far as well-rounded, what you need to see in all these daily challenges,
Yeah, on paper, I think that those are probably the top 3 teams. It's tough to put you and Moriah in there only because we don't know much about Moriah. But I thought that she brought up a really interesting point in your little pre-interview that they just posted, which is a lot of people don't recognize. She said, like, oh, he's a substitute teacher. He's good at this or he's good at that. I don't know if the substitute teacher
I barely substitute taught. It was like once a month, just
right. We've talked about that. That's not really a full career. But the point is, you're a little bit more well-rounded than people give you credit for. So, like, on a show where, and I'm not kidding, some people don't know how to divide by 2. I'm not kidding. This is not a joke. Having explained to people that dividing by 2 is just taking half the number, and watching a eureka moment for them, I was like, oh, I mean, I better get this fucking dub. You've got a much better grasp on basic math and strategy than a lot of the other people do. So it's the physical part's been proven. Whatever, you're bringing Moriah into the equation, and you're getting to be on your team, which I think is a huge benefit. Like, without question, the leader of the team, because you've got the physicality, and she's confident in your abilities mentally. So you can, as you mentioned again in that interview, just put her in that role of like, talk to the people I don't want to. Right, and deploy her personality, which is, she's hilarious. She really is. And make that work for your benefit. Was that was part of the kind of casting process in your mind of picking Moriah?
That was my strategy, like 100%, because, like I said, sweet girl, athletic girl, but I knew she was gonna do fine without me, like, babysitting her the whole time, because she's so social and she loves to talk to everybody. Like, we'll be in the grocery store, at the gas station, every time she's talking to the little kid and the mom, and I'm like, bro, I just put my head down, get my Gatorade, and get out of there. I don't be having conversations, but that's how she is. So I was like, this is gonna be perfect. And besides that, I knew me and her romantically, there was nothing there anymore. Like, we had established that. Like, she had, after we hung out a couple times, she had went and got boyfriends and would talk to me about them. Like, she was doing her thing, I was doing my thing. So I was like, that's perfect, because I could bring another girl that potentially I like a little bit, and now I'm getting myself into drama I'm not trying to get into. This is my 4th season. I was going there to win. I caused enough drama, and at that point I was like, I don't even need to get into the drama. I could send one little tweet once a month and that shit just goes berserk. So I'm like, I'm gonna be chilling in the house. That's my strategy. Let people know I came to play, and besides that, I'm gonna respect everybody. I'm not gonna do the most. Let my game speak for itself. That was my strategy.
Oh, we're going to be getting into the tweets. Trust me when I say we will be diving into hashtag the tweets. But before we do that, I want to set a little bit of a backdrop, too, for people that may not know this, as we will get into the tweets here momentarily. But they make more sense knowing your history as an athlete before you were a challenger. and I believe it's Chattanooga University. What's the mascot, by the way?
The Mocs. It's University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. That's the full name of the university, but we just say
University
Chattanooga.
of Tennessee at Chattanooga, the Mocs. And you played there as a tight end against some absolute animals. You
know this guy, bro. This is the most freaking guy I've ever seen in my life.
We're talking about a kid that played linebacker that went to the league, played for the Saints. His name is Davis. I don't know his last name.
Toll.
Yeah, I've met the kid, and I can. I actually spent some time on his actual shoulders. I had him lift me up, right? And I mean, the kid is a freak of nature. So it's like going head to head against him every day in practice, and then knowing, that he was able to play in the league. I feel like it gives you a little bit more credibility in making the comments that you did, which again we'll get there in a second. But what portions of college football have you taken into the challenge? What is that like? What's that like to transition that skill set? Because the best players do. What's it like to transition that skill set into a completely different game?
I think why a lot of people have a hard time misunderstanding like kind of my level of sense of confidence in the game or whatever is not because I played college football or whatever. A lot of people played college football, but what did you do like while you played? Were you went to a D1 school and you didn't really even play? Bro, since I was a freshman, I started every single game. My first game was against Nebraska. I'm a freshman, 93,000 people in the stands. So I'm like, and I got to Chattanooga. We had freaks of nature, transfers from Kentucky, Georgia. They brought in a Kentucky transfer. I beat them out. Like, this is why I was confident, because I'm like, right. I'm beating and I'm blocking these NFL draft picks. Like, I'm doing these things at practice. My coach is like, my junior year, he was like, you might not get drafted, but you're definitely going to get a shot. Like, there's teams talking about you. They're coming, looking at you at practice. So I was like, all right, like, I didn't go, but a lot of people didn't do what I did in college, bro. Like, I could have done more, but I'm proud of what I've accomplished. Like, I got a fat-ass resume now. Like, you do too. Like, I've done 6 TV shows, went to college for free, and people still hate, and I'm like, bro, this shit has not phased me. Shit has not phased me, bro. Like, I don't care, bro. I'm confident in myself.
They are still hating.
They gonna wake up eventually, Devin. It might take some time, brother, but.
Well, we'll see. I also think, like, it's interesting to me because I see an underdog mentality in you now that I've been able to get to know you better, and I understand and register where it's coming from. For someone like me, it's obvious, right? Like, obviously I'm going to have an underdog mentality. I can't have a not underdog mentality. It wouldn't make any fucking sense. But you carry that same kind of underdog mentality from your football days into a game where you are much bigger than most people. And that, to me, is the most dangerous combination there is that somebody, for whatever reason, I don't feel like you walk into it. You're not questioning your own abilities, but I don't see you walking into these situations being like, oh, this is 100% mine. I can kind of take my foot off the gas. No, you go 1,000%. And it just seems to me like it's kind of ingrained in you in competition. Is that the right take?
So, yeah, the funny story is when we were in college, we would have to run 100-yard sprints, 16 times with 15-second rest in between, make a certain time. And, like, tight ends and linebackers would run, in a group, linemen and then receivers and shit. And they'd always put me with the receivers because they knew I would go 100 miles an hour. And, like, I would win the sprints because, like, yeah, they're running 4.4s, 4.5s. I'm probably running 4.7, honestly. But I'm fucking going 100 miles an hour because I'm here to set the tone. Like, I know I'm not the most explosive, but, like, in order for you to beat me, you're going to have to run 100% and be faster than me. So that's my mentality. Like, I was never the fastest, the strongest. I grew into being somewhat fast and strong because I went hard as fuck every time because I was...
Right.
I had to. My parents didn't play sports. I'm 6'3.5", 6'4", but... If you look at me, like, I'm lanky, but, like, I'm not like Nam or Chauncey just fucking yoked up, So
Doritos and tricep presses.
You see me in there, bro. Like,
Doritos and tricep presses, to be fair.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Coke Zeros, Doritos, and tricep presses. It's the pregame routine, and it has worked. It's worked very well. But let's get into exactly what everybody wants to chat about. And I know that sometimes it's difficult to express yourself on Twitter. I tend to thrive in a 240 character environment because my haters can't articulate themselves, and my spelling sucks, but I do feel like I'm pretty good there. I think maybe you could use a little work, so we're going to allow you the opportunity without everybody tweeting in and trying to get their 2 cents in to explain exactly what you meant by this viral tweet. And I'll read it here and then just kind of let you go for it. It goes something like this. Actually, it goes exactly like this. I'm going to need the challenge to start bringing NFL players and professional athletes on the show more often because we would run circles around them. Most professional athletes are only good at one thing. The challenge is made for those who possess versatility. I don't see the controversy here, to be fair.
That's what I'm saying.
Care to elaborate?
I was on my way to the Bucks. Who'd the Bucks play? Damn, who'd they get beat by last weekend? I don't even remember. Chiefs.
The Bucks lost
Bucks,
to the Chiefs.
I was on my way from Orlando driving, so it's like a 2-hour drive. I'm bored. I get on Twitter and I'm thinking about football. I'm going to the game, and I was like, you know what? I felt this way for a while. Like not even just on the challenge, but like like the thing I love about the challenge and meeting people like you and Jordan and Johnny is like. There's people who have a certain gift and they know that, and the challenge allows us to use those gifts, and that's like you, composure, strategy, coming up with a strategy, or just being good at random games you're at. And I've always felt confident in that. Like I was the kid wakeboarding, jumping off cliffs, doing crazy shit like that. So now you put me on a show. Yeah, I was an athlete, but when I went to school with all these not all these 5-star recruits, but like some transfers from Georgia came in, freaks of nature, 6-packs, yoked up, benching 400 pounds, squatting 600, running 4 threes. Put them on a basketball court or little mat drills where you got to go back and forth, or one-on-ones. I'm killing all these people. So that's what I was trying to say was a lot of these athletes, if you put them from hanging from a helicopter, drop in the middle of the lake, swim a football field's length, balance on this. I don't see a lot of NFL players beating me, you, Jordan in these games.
No. I really don't either. I agreed with the tweet, and I mean obviously I had my sarcastic retort to it, which is bring some rocket scientists in here too for the same reason. Because how are they going to do when they have to wrestle a pole away? Right? You might be able to send a spaceship to the moon, but can you take a pole away? Again, from Jordan. And the kid's only got a thumb on one hand, and he'll still beat 90% of the people on planet Earth in a pole wrestle.
Bro,
beat Josh in a tug of war.
I asked Jordan this. I asked him like 5 times when we were in the house, and I already knew the answer when I asked him. I just wanted to hear it come out of his mouth. I would say, Jordan, because this is a couple challenges in. We know who like the clear threats are in the game as far as like when we show up to any challenge, we know like, all right, well, these teams or these individuals are probably going to excel, right? And Jordan's one of those people. So I asked him, I said, if you could take it back, or if you could go back and get a full hand and do it all over again, would you? And he goes, absolutely not. I go, I wouldn't either, because think about all these other people in the house that have 2 hands. You can run circles around them. If you would have had 2 hands, you wouldn't have worked as hard probably. You wouldn't even be the athlete. That dude is an athlete, bro. Like, you saw him throwing the football to me. Like, he was whipping that thing. Like,
he's ridiculous. And it's ridiculous. And that actually goes... We've had this conversation with... or I've had this conversation on the challenge with people from all different walks of life. I'm talking sexual orientations, different races, different sizes, different genders, different everything, right? People that identify a ton of different ways. One of the beauties of the challenge is that they bring all these people together. And I think for the most part, I've never talked to anyone who's answered this question and said... yes, I would change. I've always asked, would you stay the way that you are? And almost everybody, actually everybody up until this point has said absolutely. There's nothing I would change about it because it made me the person that I am now, and that's gotten me this opportunity, and I'm really happy about that and how like everyone's unique story that delivers them into being a successful challenger, which is legitimately probably one of the hardest games on planet Earth. The amount of versatility, as you mentioned in your tweet, that you have to compete, not only to compete, but to live in that atmosphere. And this one is particularly interesting because there's so many separate rooms in this house. I'm just going to give a little spoiler. I hope I don't get sued. There's so many different rooms. It hasn't been like that in the last few seasons. You can have conversations in this house. Like, that portion of the game is blown way up. And if you match that with, okay, well, you can be sneaky, you can have conversations, but also you have to be good politically, you have to be good physically, you have to be good mentally, and you better be prepared to live with some psychopaths on top of all of it. There's not many people that can do that. So for the most part, and of course Jordan falls into that category, I don't think any of us would change a thing. And that's a scary person to go against.
Well, and
because it's like, if you're confident, you're tough to beat.
The tweet, like, we got a little off topic, but the tweet wasn't like, people were like, oh, it's a reality show. Josh said that. A lot of people were agreeing with that. I'm like, okay, I get that, but I'm allowed to tweet about a certain part of the show. Like, they just dropped the documentary and they're advertising it, the fifth sport, like, it's this badass competition. That's part of the game. Yes, it is much more. There's way more bigger aspects. Living, the hurry up and wait, being told what to do, having to ask for everything, that, like, not having your phone, that's another aspect. But I'm allowed to tweet about just one part of the game. That was what I was talking about. Just from a
Correct.
competition standpoint, I think in all these little games, people like me, you, Jordan, Johnny, there's a couple other names in there. I got CT, obviously. I got any of us over, like I said, 90% of the league. Yeah, you got people like freaks in the league that probably can do some stuff here and blow us out too, but, like, bro, you're going to have to, you've seen some of the games we did, and it's going to come out on the air.
Yeah.
These games are, I think this season's going to be ridiculous, bro. Like, it's going to do numbers. I think it's a good season.
I believe it to be the best season of TV that I've ever done. This is my 11th or 12th show. The format has a lot to do with that. The casting has a lot to do with that. But also, as you've mentioned, I mean, the challenges that we're doing, the eliminations that are in this season, they are not like go in and this one has got a clear favorite. This is like,
which puts the stress so much more.
And who can handle that under that amount of pressure? Who's going to shine, right? Which is pressure going to make a diamond, or are you going to fold under it, right? Those are that's to me what really makes a legitimate challenger. And I completely agree that I'm not saying we would run circles around all professional athletes, because I know how smart you need to be to play sports at a really high level. But even like Nelson and Corey, for instance, are way more well-rounded than people give them credit for. These are kids that you can put in, or men that you can put in most every situation, and they're at worst middle of the pack. We're not dealing with them. They're not losing dailies outright. They're finding a way, even in situations where they're not so confident in their abilities, they're finding a way now through all of this experience that they've had to make sure that they're at least at a minimum middle of the pack.
Experience is going to get you. Like, it's going to build.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. In the CBS, no shots at them. It was an entertaining show. The final was weak, but they're playing against all rookies. None of them had ever played the game before. Of course you're going to do well. You better do well. It's even playing field completely. You put them on a season, and I'm interested to see who gets asked to do the flagship show. You put them in a season with a bunch of people that have played this game 6, 7, 8, 9 times. Good luck. I don't think it's going to work out so well. And I've gone on record saying no one from Love Island will ever win the challenge, and I stand firmly by that. But with that being said, as I have started to now throw a little bit of shade, I think you're somebody that may actually give me a truthful answer on this. So we've done the Mount Rushmore of best challengers ever. It's boring. We're going to do worst challengers all time, okay? And these are going to have to pertain only to people that you have played with, right? So you've got 4 seasons to pick from. I guess we can use this season. The floor is yours. The floor is yours. Gender non-specific. Who do you think the 4 worst challengers that you have ever played the game with are? I need to know.
Ah, damn. This is fucked up because you rattled this shit off left and right on the bus and in the house, and you didn't even go first. I don't even know, man. Like, all right, let me think. Rookie year. Okay, there's no way I'm not gonna get heat for this. You're just setting me up. Here you go. Hit this one out of the park. Okay, from my experience, the only ones I could think of off the bat from my rookie season, I guess. They might have been good in the past, but they didn't really bring anything to the table. Jenna and Kayla didn't really do anything on Total Madness. Not saying they're worst challengers of all time, but I've only done 4 seasons. They didn't really, I heard that they were pretty good in the past, and they didn't really impress me that much. I mean...
Yep. Maybe we got Jenna and Kayla.
Maybe they just weren't into it emotionally. They had a lot of stuff going on. We all do, so I get that. But just I felt like they weren't really.
Well, it's guys, your Rushmore. We got Jenna and Kayla.
Guys,
and then now 2 guys.
Let me think. Who was on Spies, Lies, and Allies? I mean, love Gabo to death, but Gabo wasn't winning anything. I wasn't worried about Gabo.
I love Gabo, but he was
I mean, you can't even put Huey up there. Huey was not the worst. Huey was like middle of the pack in most of these challenges. So he was entertaining as fuck.
If it wasn't for his BBL, he would have made a deep run.
He was actually kind of crafty.
He
was better at some of these games than a lot of those people. So, all right, I gave you Gabo.
We need one more.
I don't want to. It sucks that Nam's had the hand he's had, but he hasn't really done much. But I'm not gonna say he's the worst because he just didn't get a chance to prove himself. But I know you're a big Nam guy. I'm
gonna throw one out there. Let me know what you think about this. Joseph.
Who's Joseph? Oh, Joseph, the BMXer. Yeah.
He was pretty bad.
He's a nice guy, man. I like Joseph. But
I like Joseph too, but he was pretty bad.
The thing is, even though you saw him, he was like 6'3", he had some muscle tone to him, and then, he was acting the way he was, we thought, okay, he might give Kyle a run for his money, and, that just goes to show you, not saying Joseph is a huge athlete or nothing, but that was a pretty big dude, and Kyle, drug him like it was nothing, so, this game, the challenge, requires a certain level of grit and savviness and just plain savagery. When you're down there, it doesn't matter how much you bench press or how many abs you got. Are you gonna let a grown man rip a pole out of your hands or run through you, or are you gonna find a way, bro? There's $1 million on the line. Everybody gonna be watching. It's the Friday Night Lights. When we in the elimination, they turn the lights on. That's why I voted myself in twice in Double Agents, because I was like, you know what?
Right.
Bro, there's a lot in stake here. Not saying my challenge legacy, but bro, you might not ever get a shot to be on national television and do some cool shit that bro, I'm about to show out in this. And that's
you want to leave it all in the field. You don't want to. You do not want to walk out of that house. I've done it before and been fortunate enough to get another opportunity. You do not want to walk out of that house with things that you wish that you said, with things that you wish that you had done. It's better to take a shot and miss than to not take one at all. And I think that that's really why a lot of people are going to thoroughly enjoy this season, because people are taking shots. I'll tell you that. I mean, I hadn't seen it really like this. And again, just the format, I don't want to give too much away. It's impossible to keep your hands clean.
They didn't release the format, did they?
They have not released the format.
I thought they kind of hinted at it on one of the trailers. Somebody said something about something. And I was like,
a little bit, but we'll let them do the hinting. I'll just say this, very, very, kind of, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is here, vague, I guess. It's impossible to keep your hands clean. You can't do it. So this whole, us, just sending rookie after rookie in Spies, Lies, and Allies or Double Agents where a big alliance can, run the game, crumple that up, throw it in the trash can. There are too many moving parts. And it's straightforward, but there's so many moving parts that it's just impossible to keep your hands clean. And I think because of that, we're really going to get to see people's true colors.
Yeah, and I think this season, production, they will do a good job of going with the show how it happened, as far as we were all ourselves. It was when a camera we did I think the cast did a really good job of damn, we were genuine. It wasn't we were just ourselves a lot of the season. And I think what I'm saying is that's going to look really well on camera as far as the season goes. It's not going to be like, some forced shit like I was a lot more comfortable this season because like that shit, like I said, I don't really talk in large groups a lot. I'm not really that social of a person in large groups. Where some of you, like you, Johnny, Jordan, you guys, you like that. You're used to that,
Right.
So for me, I felt like
authenticity is at an all-time high. I would say I would agree.
Yeah,
That's
authenticity for this season. I give that a thumbs up.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that because I do know, and there's a lot of blowback for like staged beefs or like relationships that are for show or whatever. There was no need. No one had to. There was plenty of authentic
that shit was
beefs.
going to happen regardless.
Exactly, and there was plenty of authentic relationships, and some that are going to have you spinning and just kind of being shook. I was sitting there in the house sometimes, watching things go down, and thinking to myself, "Oh, well, you can't write this."
That's what I'm saying. This is some crazy shit that's gonna happen this season, bro.
For real. It's like what do they call it? Reality is stranger than fiction in some scenarios. And I mean, I look at my eyes now. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. There is some moments on this season that I'm gonna need to watch back because I don't believe that they actually happened.
I hope they just show everything, MTV. They don't hold back.
They
Like
will.
they gotta have this footage, man, of some of this crazy shit. Like
100%. I know they've got it, and I think we're gonna get to see it, and it's gonna be electric as this interview was. We've hit the 30-minute mark in the blink of an eye. So let's give you an opportunity, Fess, to plug anything that you want. I know that you've got a potential podcast on the horizon here, Fessin Up. So if you want to just chat about that for a second, or let the people know, or just tease it at all, we'll give you the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I actually got. I know one of my boys. His name's Chris. He has a studio and an agency, and he has this dope ass setup. I sent you a picture of it in Tampa, and we're putting a podcast together. Sick. I haven't really advertised it yet because I want to make sure we got everything set up and ready before And I'm gonna have some guests on. I told you're more than welcome to come on, and it's gonna be like we're gonna talk about the episodes, but it's gonna be like real life shit too. Like, what have you been doing? How does the challenge translate to the real world? Talk about women, finances, and just shoot the shit. And I'm like say, your mindset probably, bro. We've been doing this. You've been doing it way longer than me, but 4 years now. So it's like we know the cycle of it. I'm just gonna put out content. I have a lot to talk about with the show in my real life. If y'all like it, cool. If not, I don't care. Like, but it's gonna be out there. Like that's the type of 100%. Mindset I'm on now. I'm like, whatever. But
yeah, and you got to speak your piece too, because it's important to, like we said, like we've talked about, Instagram, Twitter, all these other social media platforms. You can only say so much. Like, there's really something to be said for a long period of time where you can just say what you want to say and actually get your true authentic thoughts out in a format where people can listen at their leisure. And so I'm excited for it. It's Fessin Up. It's coming soon. And obviously the challenge Ride or Dies Wednesday, October 12th. You don't want to miss that.
Damn.
Let them know where they can follow you on Instagram, where they can follow you on Twitter. And then I got one more thing I want to ask you.
All right. It's Fessy Fitness across the board. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, I think. But what was the thing you wanted to ask? I was gonna say.
Well, you're no stranger. You're no stranger to relationships, Fessy. You have coined the phrase "messy Fessy." We've got a pretty messy situation happening down there in Southern Florida. Interesting that you mentioned Tampa. Tom Brady has hired a divorce attorney, allegedly. As a man who's no stranger to a breakup, how do you think this is going to affect the late great, well, not the late great, but the great Tom Brady? Gisele and Tom expected to have a divorce mid-season. Well, what are your thoughts here? Is it going to help him? Is it going to hurt him?
Well, there's a rumor also that it all happened when he crossed the state line and came down to Florida, because Florida's a different breed down, I'll tell you, man. Like, when you come down to Florida, you start seeing what walks around here on the street. It's like a damn zoo down here, Devin. It's crawling with talent, and Tom probably just got tired. I don't know. I'm just fucking shooting shit, but I don't know. I don't know. Football over females, I guess is his mentality, but they're probably gonna make it spin it some way to where, you know, he was doing it because she wasn't supporting him or something. People worship Brady. I was telling you earlier. That's what I think. So I don't really have too much thought of it. You know, I saw you like this.
I can attest to that.
You like this. Did you read that thing when she was talking about when he moved to Florida?
Yeah, it's hilarious. She's like his soft skin turned to a red leather. He started cutting the sleeves off all his shirts. It's pretty funny, but this is the real question. They're going up against the Atlanta Falcons, coming off back-to-back losses. I don't know the last time Tom Brady lost 3 games in a row. He's mid-divorce. The line is 8.5, meaning the Bucs will need to win the game by 9 points or more in order for someone that bets on the Bucs with the spread to win the game. Do you see the Bucs beating the Falcons by 9 or more?
How are the Falcons this year?
They're not terrible.
I haven't watched them play.
They're not terrible. Yeah, they're not terrible. They got a 2-headed beast at running back.
Yeah.
And their defense isn't bad. I mean, they're solid, and the Bucs don't look great. So I don't know where I'm going to go here. Gut instinct, Bucs winning by 9 or more.
Yeah, they're coming off the Chiefs' loss. That was kind of embarrassing. Is it a home game or away game? Away?
I believe it is in Tampa.
In Tampa.
I believe it's in Tampa.
I mean, nine or more, like, unless the Falcons just play good, I don't see. I see the Bucs clearing them by 9 or more, I guess. If I had to go either or.
You heard it here first. Fessy Shafaat taking the Bucs, laying the points. Okay? If you want to tail Fessy, it's Bucs minus 8.5, baby. Fess, I really appreciate you coming on, man. This was fun.
Yeah.
And I hope that it has answered some of the questions that the listeners have had, and I hope that we have appropriately teased the season. So again, I really appreciate you coming on. Episode 5, it's in the books. Faysal, Shafaat, everybody, congratulations on your 4th season. I'm looking forward to watching it back, and I'll kick it to you for any last thoughts, Fess.
When's this podcast coming up? When you posting it?
Tonight, live in about 4 hours.
Right.
Yep, we'll be on there. We'll be on there absolutely.
I mean, we had some good content, but we didn't really rile any of the fans up. We were kind of respectful.
Of course we are. We're always going to be respectable, but there's always room for more riling because I've said this to you before, I'll be down in Florida for the winter. I'm going to make a live appearance on Fessin Up. I'm going to be there in person. All right? And at that point, mid-season, we can really get some juice going. So stay tuned for that. I've been Devin, he's been Fessy, and you've been wonderful. Fess, again, I appreciate you coming out. Thanks, brother.
Appreciate you having me.